Okay, happy holidays. In this episode, I think what I want to do is make my life easier down the road. By that I mean, when we're actually going through and we're adding the movement logic for each of these pieces, it would be nice to give myself a workflow where I can actually easily test those changes. So for example, if I'm trying to add the logic for the night, the movement logic for the night, it would be nice if I could clear the board and just put the knight here on, say, e4, and then test it from there, right? So what I want to do is take a screenshot and just outline what I would like to do. Oops, okay, I did paste. I can move it, and I can scale it, and all is good. So grab my handy dandy tablet, and what I want to do is, it would be nice if we could add a second column, and this will be our list of moves, right? So 1, E4, E5, 2, your knight F3. That's a 4. That is not an F. That is not an F. Knight F3, knight C6, right? But it'd also be nice to have, another column, or I guess another row with, automatically turned it into a shape. I think it'll be nice to have a couple of additional rows. And maybe this top one is actually a log that just gives me, useful information. So I don't necessarily have to rely on the console, not that it's a big deal, but this one will actually have all of my pieces. So this will have all my pieces, and obviously these aren't chess pieces, this is just an example, but I'll be able to select my pieces here. Actually, maybe instead of this log, maybe instead of like a log, we just have some buttons, a row of buttons. So one useful button will be to clear the board. So I can clear the board and then click on a piece, click on the board, and just add that piece. So let's work on just getting that UI updated. And my mic is working. Okay, I've done this before where I forgot to plug my microphone in and I recorded about 15-20 minutes without any audio. So here are my templates. And okay, here's the actual board. Put this over here, put the board there. And how do we want to do this? How do we want to do this? What we could potentially do is turn, I'm just going to have this drawing over on another monitor. Let's do, dot row. Put our board in that row. I need to get better about using all the fancy shortcuts to navigate around. So for example, like if I'm in JavaScript, if I want to navigate to another function, I think I can do, so I can do Control P and then at, like, add move. Takes me to that function, right? I don't use those shortcuts enough. And it's a good habit to get into. So we have a second column, and I guess let's say deflex, call 12, call medium 6, and then do call medium, or call 12, call medium 6. Just give it a background. See what that gives me. Okay, now let's interrogate this. Move my console to the bottom, and just make sure that these elements are actually doing what I expect them to do. I don't want this console necessarily in the inspector view. I've got a console tab. So you can see I've got a row that takes up the entire width of my container. Okay, that's what I expect. That looks good. So now let's add another row. And this will be .call 12. This will have all my buttons. So let me just say buttons, not the gumdrop buttons. And then this will be my editor, right? And it also takes up 12. So let me just see bg dash. Is that a class? What kind of colors do I have? bg-info, not information. Let's just try bg info, and then bg warning. And give it some content to make sure it is looking like we expect. There's some interesting artifact going on with this margin here on the left. Might not be a big deal. I'm not worried about that. So this is going to be all my buttons, right? So .btn dash secondary, or btn, what do I want? Let's look at some buttons for inspiration. Do I want these outline buttons? That might be fun. Let's do that. So .btn dash outline dash primary. And let's say clear board. Why? btn outline primary. Oh, well, it's good because our background is has a unique color. Okay. And to the row, let's just do mt-2. Give ourselves a little breathing room. Okay. So we've got clear board. We could have a button for flipping, flipping the board. The other thing is we have all these templates, and right now they're in a container that's invisible, right? So what if I put these guys here? So I'm using, I'm no longer using those as just templates. I'm actually using those in my board editor. See if that's feasible. I think that our call 12s computed as flex boxes. I think they are, right? Yeah, it's a flex box. If I look at the computed, isn't it? So like if I do flex, or let's do justify content center. Nope. Let me turn this into a flex container. Flex. And then I'll do see what that looks like. Let's do P-3. Justified content around. Is that a little bit nicer? Yeah. And then, what if we do this? What if in this whole document, in the body, we say class bg-light, and then this background will actually make background bg white. You might not be able to see that, but there is a slight difference. And then, what if we do bg white and then rounded? And do the same for this guy, bg white, rounded. And then, why don't we do this? I'm going to actually put the board, or this, in this div and do dflex, justify, content, center. See what that looks like. Oh, this breaks the board. This breaks the board. I need that class, deflex. Okay. And then I'll give this a white background. Let's actually do this. Do dot rounded, so IntelliSense or Emmet picks up that I'm trying to add two classes. See what this looks like, and then do deflex, justify content center. Okay. What if I also, in these pieces, I wrap this in a button? Just see what that looks like. Put these pieces in a button. That doesn't look too bad. BTN primary. What if I do an outline? BTN outline. Primary, see what that gives me. I could do BTN-dark. See what that looks like. That doesn't look too bad. Let's try that. So, in other words, what I want to do is let's select all these additional piece classes and just .btn.btn-dark. Do that. Oops. Control X up. So I just wrapped everything in buttons. And I think that looks good, which is why I'm putting my hands up, because I put my hands up when I get excited. Okay, I'm going to put them down. So let's remind ourselves of how we're populating this board. Let's go over to chess and Another thing that I want to do is, I'm going to full screen this, is I just want to do a little bit of refactoring in the sense that I want to put these classes into different scripts. So let's do that. Let's do piece.js. I'm going to cut this, put it in piece.js, and then from index, I'm now going to reference piece.js, and I'm referencing it before chess.js because chess is going to use it as a dependency, right? So save those changes, make sure there's nothing yelling at me, everything still seems to be working. Let's do the same for the rest of these, okay? Pawn.js, paste pawn, kaboom, rook.js, rook.js, paste the rook, kaboom, knight.js, paste the knight.js, kaboom, bishop.js, paste the bishop. Oh, undo that. Or actually I can just save it. Bishop.js, kaboom, queen.js, queen.js, king.js. Now in chess, or in our index, let's reference all of those. So we've got a pawn. We've got a bishop. Or let's do it kind of in order. So if we're on starting from the pawn and then going counterclockwise or clockwise, we've got the rook, we've got the knight. Oh. We've got the bishop. We've got the king. We've got the queen. Save everything. Make sure everything still works. Everything still seems to work. Right? And remember where we left off is I was adding logic to get the to compare the direction of two squares, to compare square B relative to square A. So that's what our click events do right now. So that cleans this up a little bit. This is the real meat and potatoes. This is where everything is called. So this is document.ready. We're calling create board. And we're calling populate board. So populate board is calling all of these functions, which are calling, they're each calling add piece, and they're passing in a different piece. And then we're copying our template pieces, or we're cloning our template pieces, giving it a unique ID, giving it a class so it's either black or white, and then appending it to our square, E4, whatever, right? And then we are pushing it to this pieces array, which that array is right now I'm just using it as a quick way to view the data for each of these pieces. So let's look at the piece array. And it has information on 32 pieces. It's got the type of piece, the color, starting position, lots of stuff. The other thing that I want is we want, when we actually capture a piece, we want to have some UI to show which pieces we're capturing, right? Where do we want that? My light just flickered. It's crazy windy here. Like ridiculously windy. But that won't stop us. So Where do we want to add that? The UI for the captured pieces. I think. It's not in the templates. We've got this row. Why don't we do it here? Let's say that row. Call 12, call medium 6. Put it back over here, see what this looks like. Or I think I always want it to be a call 12. Call 12. What we got? Okay. These are our moves. These are the captured pieces. I want more vertical space for the moves because in theory we'll have games that lasts, I don't know, average of like 40 moves maybe for a game. I just pulled that number out of somewhere dark and cavernous. How does Lee Chess do it? How does Lee Chess do that? How does Lee Chess do it? Let's play a quick bullet game. Okay. How does Lee Chess do it? We'll have to capture some pieces to see. We'll have to capture some pieces. Really early castle. It's all right. Still no pieces captured. Queenside pieces aren't. Oh, it's my turn. I didn't even see him go. I didn't even see him castle. Darn it. I was like, what's taking this guy so long? But it's me. It is me. Darn it, darn it. Can I now? I can't go yet. Let's do that. Pretty sure he hasn't gone yet. Pretty sure he hasn't gone. Light just flickered again. What's up? If you want to take, that's fine. Actually, no. Because now I'm hanging my knight. Well, that's what we wanted to see. Yeah, hanging it up, so I'm down a pawn. He can take the pawn whenever he wants. Apparently he doesn't want the pawn. You can't handle the pawn. Ran out of time. Okay, in any event, you're seeing it appearing under our name. Or under my name here, right? I would have had him if I had time. I would have had him. Okay. Let me brainstorm for a sec. Okay, I just added another row. White, rounded. Oops, actually it's just BG white, isn't it? Yeah, that'll do. Okay, stop highlighting. That's fine for now. What do I want to do when I hit clear board, though? let's just see what happens. Let's see what happens if when we hit clear board, we move all of these pieces to this new captured class that we have. So I'm going to say, okay, so it's already a flex. So we've got this button for clearing. I'm going to give it an ID called clear. And then add an event. Oops, nope. Clear dot on click. We have a function, and let's grab all of our pieces that are on the board. Board pieces dot append to what? Captures. See what that looks like. Interesting. Put them all on the board, but it's arranging them. And oh, is that because these pieces are white? I'm just not seeing the white pieces? Is that what's going on there? So what if we give our captures div some different background color? Oh, well, I'm explicitly saying BG white right before this, so that's why. Okay, so we're seeing all of our pieces. The order that they're putting them in is quite interesting. I don't know what I was expecting the order to be, but do we want to put them there or just literally delete those elements? What if we delete the elements? That might actually be better. Board piece dot destroy. And then piece r equals boom. Let's see what that does. Is destroy not a recognized function? Oh. Maybe they have a title that's a little bit less aggressive. Is it just remove? Maybe it's just remove. Remove the set of matched elements from the DOM. Okay, don't want to empty them. I want to remove them. I wish they should have called that destroy. I think that would have been cooler. Okay, so we just cleared the board. And now let's our board editor. First of all, let's give this board editor a unique ID. ID equals editor. When we click on a piece and then click on the board, we want to put a piece in that position, right? So dot on click. Let's grab all of our pieces. And have a function here that simulates what we were doing when we're first populating the board, right? So we want to add a piece where we're clicking. So for now, let's have a variable let selected piece equal just an empty object. I might end up changing this, but we'll see. So if selected piece equals an empty object, for now, let's say, when we click on a piece, let's assume that the piece that we clicked on is a pawn. Let's say that selected piece equals right, that's what this is. Or no, it's got its own ID. Let's just grab the pawn. Otherwise, we've already selected a piece. So what do we want to do? We want to append it wherever we just clicked, right? Which would be, let's see if I can do this, e.target. So the first click populates, sets the pawn into our selected piece object. The second click is where we I think I'm making this harder than it needs to be. Let me undo this. Let's say that they click on a piece. Now we're making the selected piece whatever this piece is, right? Which is e.target. And then now, if I click on the board, if I click on one of these squares, we've already got this event set up. Which is tricky because, like, I've already got, clear the board, I've already got logic set up, right? So let's do this. First of all, I want to see is, did the square that I click, let me comment all this out. If the square that I clicked had a piece on it already, then I want to fire some other logic. So let's do log e.target first. Just make sure I know what we're working with. Let's also add a helper function called function get piece on square, and this will just take in the algebraic coordinate of that square that we care about. You'll see that, I might be using algebraic and the coordinate position interchangeably in places, and I probably am. I'm not going to worry about that part too much right now. Algebraic dot piece dot first. There should only be one in that square, right? But you never know. So if get piece on square, e.target dot attribute ID, then we do some logic. Otherwise, the square is empty. There's nothing in it. What is this returning? Let's actually do this. let selected piece equals this, and then just do if selected piece selected piece. Try that. I would hope to get, okay, I'm just getting an empty object. So let's just do if selected piece dot length greater than 0. Otherwise, it's empty. Square is empty. The square is not empty. Get rid of this. Square is empty, square is empty, square is empty. Square is not empty. Give me that pawn. Square is not empty. Give me that pawn. Okay, cool. So now what we can do is, if there's a selected piece, do this. The original logic. Boop, boop, beep. Whatever we were going to do, which we still have to fix. Which this has its own problems, but let's see. Or does this work? Yeah. Okay, that's more what I wanted. So what I'm saying here is if there's a selected piece, or this is our second click. So if it's our second click, then we already have something in the start click object. First click equals start click. What the heck? I don't remember doing this. Let first click equals start click equals. Oh, okay. Got it. This is just a Boolean. So if the start click is just an empty object, then this will return true. That's what I'm doing there. Okay. So what I was trying to do is if we clear the board, now I click on my piece in the editor. We're saving that to this variable selected piece. And then if I click on the board, there shouldn't be a piece there. So let's do this. Let's do if selected piece dot length is greater than 0. We know we've got a piece selected. And we want to append the piece to that square. So let's call, we have a method for that, add piece, right? Takes in the piece, coordinate, and then what color we want it to be. Add piece. And for now, let's do a new pawn, just to test. And see what this pawn constructor looks like. So by default, it's going to be white. Let's actually do this. Let piece equals new pawn. And then I'm just going to do add piece. Oops. Add piece, where do we want to add it? That is the ID of the square that we clicked. All right. And then what color is it? Or we're just adding a CSS class. And I'm going to do piece dot is white. Text white. Otherwise text black. See if that works. Clear the board. Select our piece. So it's doing squares empty. So it's calling this. But for whatever reason, our selected piece is still empty. Click. our selected piece variable is empty still. And I mean to find out why. Clear this. Editor, click. Is this event not firing? Click, 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 pull. Its ID is editor. Editor.onClick. You click a piece. It's not firing this click event. But why? ID is editor. What if I manually do this? If I manually set that? It still isn't. Does it recognize that these elements exist? Yes. Editor.piece is returning all these pieces. Why is this not working? I was thinking that it might be because, you know, this JavaScript is called before the DOM element exists, but you can see here that's not the case. All the DOM elements live right here, and those are getting added before these scripts are called. So why aren't I seeing click click when I do just that, when I click on one of these squares? If we look at the editor, I see that there's the event. Let me look at that for a second. Okay, figured it out. So the issue is we've got CSS for these pieces to disable the click event. And the reason for that is I wanted to make sure that when we're clicking on a piece on the board, that we're actually returning the board every single time, or the square every single time. So what I really want to do here is when I click on a button element, let's then see if we can't get to the piece from that button. So dot find that piece. Oops, let's clear it, refresh, clear it. And that's giving us our piece. So that was why. So now what I wanted to do is copy that and say that our selected piece is whatever that piece is. And if the square is empty and selected piece has a value, let's add a piece, which for now is just a pawn. And we can change it later to be dynamic based on whatever the selected piece value is. So boom, I just selected that pawn. Let's look at our selected piece object. It is indeed a pawn. Is it calling add piece? Let's debug this. And for whatever reason, my my scripts, even though they're definitely loaded, aren't showing up here in the console. That could be with how these scripts are injected with live server. I'm not entirely sure. But let's look at this add piece. See what that piece object it's giving me looks like. Selected a pawn. Am I not even calling the function? Watch this. I'm going to clear this log. I've got a piece selected. It's not even calling add piece. It's not even calling add piece. Why not? How is add pawn calling it, for example? Text white, text black. New pawn. Am I giving it the right ID? D2, E2, F2, G2. Clear this. It's not even logging this add piece function. Even though I feel like I'm quite clearly calling it. Oh, maybe I'm not entering this block. Hold on. Hold on. Clear that. Is selected piece somehow getting cleared? So let's try this. Clear the board. What's selected piece look like now? It's an empty object. I click on the piece. Now what does selected piece look like? Looks like that object. Oh. Huh. Variable names, variable names, variable names, variable names. So I'm redeclaring selected piece here, and I've got another selected piece up here. So let's rename this editor piece. Let's rename this editor piece. And then if editor piece has a value. Silly, silly. Clear it. Boom, boom, bam, bing, bang, bing, bam, bam, boom. What's a piece array look like? We've got 9 white pawns. Let's add a knight. Bang. Oh, we're hard coding it to only add a pawn, which is fine. We can change that. But now we've got the beginning of our. We've got the ability to clear the board and add pawns. Right? So now if we select a square that's got a pawn, you can see it's business as usual. It's firing our previous logic where it's calling get possible squares on that specific piece. So it's lovely. Guess in the next one we'll add the ability to add pieces of different colors to our editor as well. Okay? And different types of pieces. So let's do that in the next one.